Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is part 11 of the Tafsir book Tadabburul Quran, Pondering over the Quran by Amin Islahi. We continue to read in the explanation of Surah Al-Baqarah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين. This is the book. This is the book of Allah. There is no doubt in its being the book of Allah. It is a guidance for the God-fearing. It is guidance for the God-fearing. ذَلِكَ refers to the previously mentioned name of the surah, indicating that this Alif Lam Mim is a part of the glorious Quran. There are many examples of such allusions in the Quran. Consider, for instance, the following. حاميم عين سين قاف كذلك يوحي إليك وإلى الذين من قبلك الله العزيز الحكيم. This is حاميم عين سين قاف. Thus does Allah, exalted in power, full of wisdom, send revelation to you as He did to those before you. Surah Al-Shu'ara, chapter 42, verses 1 to 3. طاسين تلك آيات الكتاب وقرآن مبين. طاسين تلك آيات القرآن وكتاب مبين. This is طاسين. These are the verses of the Quran, a book that makes things clear. Surah An-Naml, chapter 27, verse 1. The word ذَلِكَ, say the grammarians, is a demonstrative pronoun that denotes something distant, while هذا denotes proximity. Mistakenly, some people take this to mean that when pointing to a distant object, we should use ذَلِكَ and use هذا when indicating an object that is nearer. But this is not the sense the grammarians have in mind. Instead, what they really imply is that the demonstrative pronoun ذَلِكَ is to be employed when pointing to a thing of which a speaker is already aware or which has been previously mentioned in the conversation. Whereas when pointing to something mentioned later on, the pronoun هذا is to be used. This is how the Arabs use these two demonstrative pronouns. And if they do otherwise, it is because of some linguistic considerations of elucidation or eloquence. Thus, if for instance they employ هذا for a thing already mentioned, it is supposed to focus attention on it. Likewise, when ذَلِكَ is used instead of هذا, it is to underline the significance and importance of this thing. It is used instead to underline the significance and importance of the thing so mentioned, because it is too exalted and noble to be referred to in direct terms, as it were, to confront it. Meaning of keywords. Kitab, Huda, Muttaqi, Iman. Kitab. The Quran uses the word kitab in 5 different senses. 1. A divine decree. For example, in the verse, لولا كتاب من الله سبق لمسكم فيما أخذتم عذاب عظيم. Had it not been for a decree from Allah that had already gone forth, a severe penalty would have reached you for what you engaged in. Surah Al-Anfal, chapter 8, verse 68. Number 2, the divine record in which all things are preserved. For example, وَعِنْدَنَا كِتَابٌ حَفِيظٌ. And with us is a record guarding the full account. Surah Qaf, chapter 50, verse 4. Number 3, a letter and message. For example, إِنِّي أُلْقِيَ إِلَيَّ كِتَابٌ كَرِيمٌ. Here, is delivered to me a letter worthy of respect. Surah An-Naml, chapter 27, verse 29. Number 4, laws and commandments. For example, in the verse, وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ, and he teaches them the law and wisdom. Surah Al-Jumu'ah, chapter 62, verse 2. Number 5, the book revealed by Allah. It is in this sense that the word is used for the book of Allah, referring sometimes to a particular portion of it or to it as a whole. For instance, in the verse, وَالَّذِينَ يُمَسِّكُونَ بِالْكِتَابِ وَأَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةِ, and those who hold fast to the book and establish regular prayer. Surah Al-A'raf, chapter 7, verse 170. Kitab refers to the book as a whole. However, in the verse, أَلَمْ تَرَ إِلَى الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا نَصِيبًا مِنَ الْكِتَابِ يُدْعَوْنَ إِلَى كِتَابِ اللَّهِ لِيَحْكُمَ بَيْنَهُمْ. Have you not seen those who have been given a portion of the book? They are invited to the book of Allah to settle their disputes. Surah Al-Imran, chapter 3, verse 23. The word kitab here clearly refers to a part or portion of the divine book. Sometimes a word with diverse significations is known and established exclusively in a higher sense. In the same manner, the word kitab or book has come to be used especially in the sense of a book of God. The use of the word in this sense is quite common since ancient times. The Jews termed every book of their prophets as Sifr, meaning a book. The Christian translators called these books Bible, a Greek word meaning a book. Likewise, these books were also described as scriptures, which in Latin similarly means a book. In short, the use of the word kitab for the book of Allah is not new. La rayba fi. Rayb is doubt. And the sentence, there is no doubt in it, means that there is no doubt that this book is indeed the book of Allah, or that it has been revealed by Him. Coming after the phrase, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ, this is the book of Allah, it places emphasis on and reinforces the statement that indeed there is no doubt whatever in it. There is no doubt whatever in its being a book revealed by Allah. This interpretation is also supported by Quranic usage. For instance, in this surah, after a few verses we read, and if if you are in doubt, so to what we have revealed to our servant, then produce a surah like it, verse 23. Similarly, at another place we read, Alif Lam Mim, the revelation of the book in which there is no doubt, from the sustainer of the worlds. Surah Al-Sajdah, chapter 32, verses 1 and 2. And we read, Hamim, the revelation of this book is from Allah, exalted in power, full of knowledge. Surah Al-Mu'min, chapter 40, verses 1 and 2. Generally, this phrase, La rayba fihi, has been taken to mean that there is nothing in this book, the veracity of which could be challenged. Generally, this phrase, La rayba fihi, has been taken to mean that there is nothing in this book, the veracity of which could be challenged. As a matter of fact, this is true, for there is nothing in the Quran which could be called into question. There are several reasons, however, why we believe it would be wrong to attribute this meaning to this sentence at this place. Firstly, the Quranic usage of the word in the examples cited above does not support this sense. Rather, it proves the reverse. Secondly, doubt or suspicion is not a characteristic of a book, but of a mental state of a person. A perverse mind can find fault in even a most obvious statement of facts. Making such a statement would therefore serve no purpose. Thirdly, the question of doubt or suspicion primarily concerns the book and its status, whether or not it is truly revealed by God, rather than its contents. Fourthly, rejection of doubt with regard to the book adds nothing special. Rejection of doubt with regard to the book adds nothing special to its significance, because such claim can be made about any book of mathematics or physics. Fifthly, and most significantly, the real difficulty of the first audience of the Quran lay not in the fact that they doubted the veracity of some of its statements. The difficulty of the first audience of the Quran lay not in the fact that they doubted the veracity of some of its statements. Their real problem was that they refused to accept its claim to being a book revealed by Allah. Therefore, even if their doubts concerning the content of the book were dispelled, its being a book revealed by Allah would still remain open to question. On the other hand, if the fact that it is a book revealed by Allah is shown to be beyond doubt, then its veracity is also automatically proven. Huda. In the Arabic language, generally, as well as in the Quran, the word Huda is used in several senses. Number one, moral guidance and insight. For example, in the verse, وَالَّذِينَ اهْتَدَوْا زَادَهُمْ هُدًى. But to those who receive guidance, He increases the light of guidance. Surah Muhammad, chapter 47, verse 17. Number two, an argument and a road sign. For example, in the verses, أَوْ أَجِدُ عَلَى النَّارِ هُدًى, or find some guidance at the fire. Surah Taha, chapter 20, verse 10. Also we read, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يُجَادِلُ فِي اللَّهِ بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ وَلَا هُدًى وَلَا كِتَابٍ مُنِيرٍ. And there is among people such a one as disputes about Allah without knowledge, without an argument, and without a book of enlightenment. Surah Al-Hajj, chapter 22, verse 8. Number three, straight and clear path. For example, in the verse, إِنَّكَ لَعَلَى هُدًى مُسْتَقِيمٍ, for you are assuredly on the right way. Surah Al-Hajj, chapter 22, verse 67. It is from here that the word also came to be used in the sense of a path and sharia, law, of which there are examples in the Quran. أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ هَدَى اللَّهُ فَبِهُدَاهُ مُقْتَدِهِ. Those were the prophets who received Allah's guidance, so follow their way. Surah Al-An'am, chapter 6, verse 90. قُلْ إِنَّ الْهُدَى هُدَى اللَّهِ. Say, true guidance, Sharia, is the guidance of Allah. Surah Al-Imran, chapter 3, verse 73. Number four, act of granting guidance. For example, لَيْسَ عَلَيْكَ هُدَاهُمْ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَن يَشَاءُ. It is not required of you to set them on the straight path, but Allah sets on the straight path whom He pleases. Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 272. Manifestly, the Quran is a guidance in all the above four senses. لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. The preposition lil before the word muttaqeen is indicative of an act of benefit. That is, only the righteous will benefit from this book. Although this book has been revealed as a guidance for all, it will really benefit only those who have the fear of Allah in their hearts. This is emphasized by the words, it is a guidance for the righteous. Muttaqi. The word muttaqi is derived from ittaqa, which is used in the Quran in several senses. Number one, to keep away from what might cause harm. For example, in the verse, فَكَيْفَ تَتَّقُونَ إِن كَفَرْتُمْ يَوْمًا يَجْعَلُ الْوِلْدَانَ شِيبًا. Then how shall you, if you disbelieve and deny Allah, guard yourselves تَتَّقُونَ against a day that will make children hoary-headed. Surah Al-Muzammil, chapter 73, verse 17. Number two, to be afraid of a calamity. For example, وَاتَّقُوا فِتْنَةً لَا تُصِيبَنَّ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا مِنكُمْ خَاصَّةً. And fear, واتقوا, a calamity or oppression which does not specifically affect only those of you who do wrong. Surah Al-Anfal, chapter 8, verse 25. Number 3, to stand in constant awe of Allah, who is most gracious to His faithful servants, who dislikes disbelief and evil, and is well aware of all the hidden and open secrets. For example, وَسِيقَ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا رَبَّهُمْ إِلَى الْجَنَّةِ زُمَرًا. And those who constantly fear ittaqaw, their sustainer, will be led to the garden in crowds. Surah Al-Zumar, chapter 39, verse 73. Number 4, to avoid sin, fearing its evil consequences and the wrath of Allah, which encompasses all the other connotations mentioned above. Whenever this word is used without an object, it is usually used in this comprehensive sense of doing right. For example, وَإِن تُؤْمِنُوا وَتَتَّقُوا فَلَكُمْ أَجْرٌ عَظِيمٌ. And if you believe and do right, تَتَّقُوا, you will have a mighty reward. Surah Al-Imran, chapter 3, verse 179. In the light of this explanation, we may define a muttaqi, or a righteous person, as one who lives in awe of Allah's majesty, fears His wrath, and is fully conscious of the evil consequences of sin. In taqwa, it is the state of a person's heart and mind and the avoidance of evil, rather than the practice of good, that are the dominant elements. We may, in this sense, describe it as a preeminently negative rather than affirmative in essence. It is nonetheless a clear sign of sound heart. It is nonetheless a clear sign of a sound heart, transforming it into a fountainhead of both knowledge and good deeds. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin.